And welcome to the FitBiz journey. This is episode 8. We are going to talk about nailing the interview, and we have a couple guests with us today. Obviously, I'm Parita Patel, Daniel Neary, you know us both, and we have today Lauren Model as well as Justin Rehark.
Because they nailed their interview.
Yes, they did.
So before we get started, and before you guys get started, I just wanted to bring up one main thing that I get asked all the time on Instagram, in meetings, in expos, wherever we go, is hiring. So many gym owners and business owners, for that matter, hire because of pressure. And what I mean by pressure is they hire when they need to hire, which is already too late. Highly recommend to read the book Good to Great, because Jim Collins actually explains why that's already too late. But if you read any of Grant Cardone's book, you will also learn why it's too late, because they're doing an amazing job explaining it. But if you're hiring when you need, the problem is that you are under pressure because you need to find somebody who need to take care of your load that you already can't handle, which is a problem, because then you're going to make a bad decision and you're going to end up hiring somebody that you don't want, like we hired Lauren. Just kidding. Totally joking. So, but no, we have amazing people, but that's because we hire way before we need them, and that's the whole point. So you should have a giant sign at your business everywhere you go, although it's, let's say, on the internet, because nobody really looks at the signs at the businesses anymore. But the point is, you should always advertise and say that you're hiring, because you always do. Because let me ask you this: if you walk down the street or anywhere you go, and you find somebody who's the most amazing person, and you see a place for her or him in your company, wouldn't you hire that person and then just figure out what's next? Because I would. That's why anywhere I go, I always look at anybody and everybody that I see that I might be able to hire in our business, for a videographer or photographer or social media experts or amazing trainers. All these people, we didn't actually posted ads for so many of them. They found us, or we bumped into them somehow, referrals. The point is, we find the people first, because first is the who and then the what. So,
I actually was somebody who came into For You Fitness for the free week trial. And I thought, this is really cool. Sounds like a great company. I met with Daniel and I was sold just from coming in and having a great experience with the company. And then later I found out, like, if they're hiring, hopefully they'll hire me. So I kind of reached out in that way. So lucky for me, I stumbled into the right place and now I found my home. But we are going to have an episode in the future specifically related to hiring, just because it's such an important piece of a company. So we'll get into more details about that in the future. For now, we definitely want to make sure we pick these guys' brain to see how their experience was with us.
Yeah, definitely two things. One, that what you said, because you should share that what I told you in a second, but I will remind you if you don't remember. But
you tell me a lot of things,
yes.
Daniel.
but no, the second thing is that about the hiring, we definitely do multiple episodes, not just the hiring, but ongoing education, after hiring. So we probably create like a series of like 3-4 episodes when we're like, okay, the hiring ad, the hiring process, the once it's hired, the academy or whatever, and then ongoing education, and then the actual plan for your employees. So, because it's important, just as much as the hiring itself. And then Parita, when we met, I believe at least, and she will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I told her that she's not a personal trainer, or she's not for the personal trainer role for sure, because I don't like her as a personal trainer. Right? I believe I told you that.
Not exactly. So, I was hired as a trainer and I expected to be a trainer, but in Daniel's mind, he didn't really anticipate that for a long term. And I didn't know that, so luckily things worked out the way they did, but no, you didn't exactly tell me that, but I learned later.
Yes, but I did tell you after, right?
You did eventually tell me.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I didn't know that in the beginning, when he first hired me.
Yeah, obviously. You don't want to tell the person that you just hired up front that you're not going to be a trainer because I don't like as a trainer. But
you're offered the job, but not for real.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it actually works out first.
Yes. But you did tell me eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And then lastly, the biggest mistake, which we'll talk about later, but before we get started, I just wanted to point out, because somebody asked me about it today, is that when they hire someone, then they expect, because when you hire somebody, your problems are not solved, that you cannot take care of things, right? You hire somebody because you need help, but no, when you hire somebody and that person is hired, the real problem just starts then, especially if you don't have processes, because they need to be taught, and you need to spend months and lots of times into and countless hours into their education. And most people and gym owners that I have met and seen, especially in personal trainer industry, they just hire somebody and load them with all the requirements or workloads or responsibilities, but they do not spend the time to actually educate them. And if you right now think about it, how much time did you spend? I can tell you exactly that at our studios we spent 3 months on education and ongoing education combined. And the first month, it's every single day, 6 days a week. It's 8 hours per day that they put in for actual education because we want to make sure that they are on top of their craft. Yes. So just ask yourself, how much education did you get when you got hired, or how much education are you giving right now? Because you should really think about that. And now let's further pauses and everything. Let's just get started.
Yeah.
So how should we start, Farida?
So let's start off by asking these guys how you found us, and then when you first applied for the hiring process, like what exactly happened. So you can go one at a time, whatever.
There we go?
Yeah.
All right, so weirdly enough, I knew I was going to move to Florida probably back in late January, mid-February. I'm actually from Ohio, by the way. But I saw For You Fitness, never heard of it before in my life. Mm-hmm. But I was actually reading through the description. It sounded really cool. And then I saw you guys did an essay, too. Mm-hmm. Never saw that before. So, of course, I threw my name out there probably mid-February. And then I got a text from Farida, I think mid-March. And I said I was going to be moving down in early April, but I kind of forgot to send the video back then when you actually sent me the text. So when we got here in April, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to that conversation and see what happens. So then she texted me right away. They were looking for personal trainers. I sent the video out and went through the interview process, and here we are now.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
I want to add to that, and Farida will probably add more to it too. Yeah. Just so people understand what you're referring to with the videos and everything. We do ask all of our hires, and by the way, we are not slow. Farida is not so responding back. You heard obviously the month differences in between the transition.
Yeah.
No, the reason why this is happening is because we do receive tons and tons of resumes, and then the number one importance, which we already pointed out once, that we please follow directions. Because and I desperately want you to follow directions, by the way. It's not like I don't want you to do that, so please take action on this, because we put out, and the people who hire, what you need to follow. So they give like an action plan that please send your resume or 1,000-word essay or cover letter or a video of something which is 30 seconds or something like that. You should follow those details down to the line, or otherwise, just like us, we don't open that message or actually read through it, because it shows us that you didn't invested your time into us. Mm-hmm. So it also shows us that you either were lazy or you just forgot. So it's not a good sign. And when there is like hundreds of resumes, obviously we have to like follow our protocol, just like you need to follow before you even come in here. Does that make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, there have been times when I maybe like gave somebody a second chance and was a little easy on them, and that just bit me in the butt later, because I was right about them the first time about not giving second chances. So I had somebody who recently submitted a 30-second video, and she mentioned the wrong gym name and didn't say For You Fitness. She said For You Fit or something like that. And so I was just like, I mean, okay, hey, by the way, I let her know that, hey, this is the wrong name, just so you know. And she was like, I can't believe I did that. And she apologized like 100 times. And then just at a later step in the interview process, I realized that it wasn't a good fit anyways. So those little things that might seem like they don't matter, they really, really do matter to us, because we want to make sure that you can pay attention to detail. Again, this podcast is talking always about how we're raising the standards of the fitness industry. So we're not just letting things slide here. We're taking this seriously, because this is a serious business to be in.
Didn't you have somebody who actually said that, why do I have to do all these things? This is just a personal training job or something.
Quote, it's just personal training. I mean, you clearly don't care about fitness as much as we do, so you're definitely not a good fit. He definitely didn't make progress to the next step. So
yeah, if they want a job, I mean, obviously not trying to make fun of anyone. We truly want to help you. So please take action on what you're hearing, because otherwise, you can't improve, and you're not going to be able to get a job that you want.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead, or...
Yeah. Lauren,
tell
your experience.
My experience was just that I'd never had something like this that took this long, this thorough, and then also just like the essay. That was something really unique that I got from Farida in an email, very specific instructions, what to do, and just following that like to a T. I could see that there's like something more to this. There's something about this that's really important. So just doing that right was the first step to even like getting the interview.
Yeah.
So.
And your resume was awesome too. I think because I usually never respond to, I'm CC'd into those emails, right? But I never reply back to any of them. And then until we actually meet in person. And then I go through the essay, but when I think read your essay, I actually even emailed you and said that how cool it was. And it would be cool if you could come on our podcast so we can actually talk about it, that what you have accomplished and how you got the job.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's happening.
and again, you know that when you have so many resumes, you know, coming through. And we talked about this again before, I believe, in a previous episode, that it's so important that you go above and beyond, right? That's the saying. Because you really need to outstand and outperform the other people and who are providing their resumes and essays or videos or everything that you know to able to get the job. So you really need to show that you are different. That's what it's all about. And they did. That's why they're here.
Yeah.
So
question, but for the both of you, what do you think made it so you nailed the interview? Like, what do you think that you did differently that allowed you to overcome the other 100 of resumes you were competing against?
Is it every interview? Or
whatever you think. Yeah, okay. It could be every step or just overall.
I mean, definitely overall. Every interview you have to have the confidence. You have to actually have the knowledge to back up what you're saying, and just being polite, pleasant, eye contact. Yeah, all of those things very important to me.
Yeah,
not to everyone.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing to touch on, like Lauren said, just being confident in your capabilities.
Yeah.
I mean, having that self-confidence when you walk in, and then just knowing you are being interviewed, not even just questions-wise, but when you walk into the studio, they're still going to be watching you no matter what you're doing. So, I mean, you're always being interviewed, but not just through questions alone, just through how you act.
Yeah.
So always just being confident, also dressing the part
yes.
so you actually feel confident. So that's another big thing too. But yeah, having the knowledge, having the experiences, definitely in that background, definitely gonna make you feel more confident, nail the job, interview questions. But
yeah. First impressions, obviously yes. Daniel agrees, like huge. And the fact that both of these two were dressed completely professionally, head to toe, big smiles on their faces the minute they walked in the door. I already felt the positive vibes just coming off of them the minute they first stepped into the studio. So those little extra factors that you mentioned, they really make a big difference, because we've had people come in for interviews before wearing like gym shorts and a tank. And that obviously doesn't necessarily give off a seriousness vibe about how you feel about this job interview and the position. And so you guys definitely nailed those things. So awesome. Yeah. And
that reminds me, I did meet someone who was very impressed. I mean, dressed very impressively when I first met him. And then the first time, and the second time when he came in, because it was the first impression, I guess, so he like over-delivered, which was great. I even made a comment on it. And then the next time he came in, he was wearing like this... I don't even know what, like shorts up to his like chest basically, in like this red tank top and everything, and I was like, what happened? I even said that at that point, but it was, the point is it wasn't appropriate. So and he learned, and some people just don't know better. But I mean, still, you need to know this. So please, if you just make sure that if you showed yourself one place, you cannot, if you don't know, just ask. The gym or the owners or whoever you are meeting or the other personal trainers what is appropriate, because you can get in trouble, and some gym owners won't even tell you anything. They just like talk behind your back, which we hate, and it's in one of our core values that we do not do that, but hold each other accountable instead on the dot. So it's very important that you do that right up front, otherwise you're just going to create all these bad things in the background. Yeah. But I wanted to come back to you guys. So you just came from Ohio, right? Mm-hmm. And then... let's talk about like previous job and experience, and then and how did you get that job? Was it hard to get it? And once you were hired, was there any training, or you just got the job and then you were on free for all, or how was it?
So at Track Athletics, which was in Fairlawn, Ohio, that was my internship for college.
Awesome.
And then after being hired on, it didn't really have so much training just because the internship kind of took care of that. Uh-huh. But I mean, it was definitely in depth. Mm-hmm. They did a very good job of doing that. Mm-hmm. Now with Anytime Fitness, it was more of just you're hired. Here you go, let's do it up. So there really wasn't hands-on training, just gotta throw you in the fire. But yeah.
Which we don't like, but you didn't like it probably either, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility at once for sure.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, how did you feel about that? But
yeah, it's a lot to take in at once. So I mean, you don't really feel that prepared per
Sure.
se, and it's everything you have to do on your own. So not tools for success. Really. Yeah.
I had a similar experience with LA Fitness for my first training job as well. I was like, you're hired. So now what?
Exactly.
Here you go. That's it.
Don't do that, guys. So gym owners who are listening out there, please make sure. And I believe Midwest Performance, again, to bring them up, because I did see it on their social media that they had like a distinct operations manual, I believe, about for their trainers and for all their hires that they go through, just like us, which is great. But that's exactly what you need, and that's why they are so successful.
Right.
Yeah. And Lauren, how about you?
My experience is more like the reverse of yours. So I had like pretty decent training because it was a medical facility. So
oh yeah, you did tell me that. I remember that.
they're gonna be So that was pretty thorough and also pretty like just straightforward on what I have to do, what needs to be done every single day, every appointment with those clients. And
how long was it? Do you remember?
That was about 3 years of doing that.
No, I mean the education part of it.
It was about 2 weeks,
Okay.
but it was just solely that. So, and they actually did have like for the nutrition side of it, they had the owners like fly in and give the training. So like that was like really reassuring as a coach.
Yes.
For wellness. So like you feel like you're getting it from the creators. So that was like a really good thing. But then the other place where I worked for a short time was a privately owned gym just by one man, and it was great. It was a great like interview. Everything went well, but it was almost too relaxed to the point where like I was hired within 2 weeks, like showing up for my first day.
Oh, got it.
And then it was like kind of like I was hearing, do you want to take over the business, essentially, like within my first 2 weeks. So it was just a lot all at once and almost zero training in that job.
Yeah. So that's sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, it's 90%. That's why there's only 4% of like all businesses that ever make it through basically a certain revenue, which is not much, just $1 million in sales, not profit, just in sales. And one of the main reasons is technically the not putting in the time for training, and most of the time even in sales training, because ongoing sales and then actual, to get the people into the door and then giving that experience that they never taught, in that business. But what I was going to say, so how long were you there?
About 3 months there.
3 months?
Yeah, because I didn't want to take over the business.
No, I got it,
yeah.
Did you have to like find your own clients, or how did that work?
I was given some clients and I brought in some clients. So I think the owner, he was owning, he was training, and he was extremely overwhelmed, and he wanted to kind of step back and have somebody run it for him. Yeah. But he wanted the new hire, kind of like you touched on earlier, like hiring when he needed somebody.
On pressure,
but
basically.
Almost too late, like just way too late.
Yeah.
So put a lot of pressure on me, which then caused me
training,
want to leave, with no training. So definitely a lot.
And that's what we talked about all the time too. And that's no commercial, but that's why I wrote that book too. That, by the way, I will link in, and you guys, I don't know if I can do a free copy. It depends on the what do you call it, the trademarks and copyrights. But anyways, so the point is that's why I wrote a book about the whole thing, because most gym owners do everything in the business, instead of working on the business, which is what you exactly explained. Right. And we see this all the time. I mean, who can pick up the phone, who can do this, who can train the trainer. There's just so many things that needs to be done, and it's not a one-man shop. But unfortunately, most personal trainers and gym owners, and that's why I desperately want to have them and creating this podcast, actually want to do everything on their own, and they always think that they already know everything. And that's the problem. As soon as you think that you know everything, you're lost. Yeah. So go ahead.
And trainers come to us with very wide backgrounds. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to go back to asking these guys about their experience with For You Fitness. Obviously, we heard about the video and then a little bit about the essay. But what I wanted to ask is two things. One, what was your favorite part of the interview process? And then two, where do you think you could have improved a little?
You want to go first? All right. So I'll take two favorite parts. First, it was actually getting to know everybody. So there was 4 to 5 parts of the interview process. In each one, you actually got to meet somebody different on the team. So actually having that connection throughout the interview process was pretty cool. And then the second favorite part was probably with Richard of actually breaking down your movements. So how you would teach the movements in your cues alone. So that would show you a lot actually how you are as a personal trainer and how you would communicate with your clients. And then what I could have improved on is our first interview on Zoom, me and Parita, is didn't really thoroughly research For You Fitness that much, and she kind of got me on that one, so definitely could have done that a lot better. But yeah, those are probably mine.
Awesome. Yeah, I support that 100%.
Yeah.
I was like, Justin,
do your research, guys.
look us up a little bit. You're going to find a lot of stuff out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said it, do your research, because, I mean, we want to know that you are investing into this. You want to work for something. I mean, you need to know also where you're going to work. So that's, you know, it's a big deal.
It's a win-win all around.
Yeah.
Mine would be, definitely meeting people. And then I liked like the different locations. I liked being able to like come in and actually see like my work environment, what it would look like. And then the thing I could have done better is just probably like, since I'm new to town, done about like 3 or however many test runs of driving to the St. Pete location.
Gosh,
because I ended up in like some neighborhood instead before I came here, because it's always important to be a little early to the interview, so and not be lost. So that would have been better.
Awesome. Glad to see. I'm glad that they both said what their weaknesses were, because you would have brought it up anyways.
Yeah,
So
that's
perfect.
awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
So they knew it too.
Yeah.
And perfect that you guys brought it up, because you know people who are listening need to know this also. So what was your next question, Prita?
Yeah, so I wanted to also transition into, so we talked a little bit about how other companies don't really give the hands-on training or the attention, and they kind of just throw new hires to the wolves. So I know that that's something we do not do at For You Fitness. So what I want to know is from you guys, like kind of your experience thus far since you've been at For You Fitness, what you like or dislike.
Okay, so I like that they have like processes, training, definitely organization, thanks to Parita and others. But the organization definitely makes like a big difference for me, because I can hold myself accountable, so it makes me a lot more excited about, you know, meeting my goals and stuff like that. So
Good to hear.
Yeah.
I like all the phases, so paying attention to the details. So it's not only training a client, but actually doing the paperwork for the process of writing everything down. Organizational skills, yes, Parita for sure. But yeah, it's going above and beyond and actually learning everything before you get thrown into the fire. So I mean, I love the process so far.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. What do you guys don't like?
It's okay to not like something.
I was a little bit more eager, like wanting to start. So the only thing I would say that I didn't like is that I couldn't start sooner. So that's it.
That's true. She was texting me for a couple of weeks, like, Parita, can we start now?
Yeah.
I'm like, in a little bit. We're almost ready for you. That's awesome.
And it's the same with our clients too, by the way. So as soon as you start training, there are clients who will come through, and then they're like, I just want to train. You're gonna able to obviously have to explain them that that's how we work. Just like as you, if you need, they have some issues and you go to the doctor, you also don't jump on the table and say, just cut me open here for my surgery before the actual, you know, finding out what's the main source of the problem and if it can even help you.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. What we do with our amazing coaches, trainers, with you guys, you're gonna do exactly the same with our clients too. Yeah. Justin, what did you do in life?
Right now I'm good. There are nothing I don't like yet, so I'm good
Wait
to go
another
there.
month.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else we should bring up for hiring? Any tips?
Do you guys have any tips for any future potential, not just For You Fitness, but any other personal trainers who are looking for a job, who are in the interview process? Anything that you want to say to them?
Do your research.
Yes.
Definitely.
Be prepared for anything
Yeah.
and open to anything, because I know other trainers in the industry or other people who've gone to different interviews and had to just instantly like turn into an actress like for a session, acting out and a client with an injury, something like that. So just be open and ready for anything.
And never stop learning, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then also don't think of like your certifications. There are so many people who just collect, certifications and stuff like that. So don't think that because you have so many, you will get a job easier, because we don't really look at that. I mean, it's cool that you have it and you accomplish so much, but it's really, we hire for personality and to make sure that we can fit you into our core values and to our actual culture, because we want to make sure that you can thrive, with us, and then we can actually build the future with you. So when you get hired as a personal trainer, and guys, if you were planning to hire personal trainers, or any employees for that matter, make sure that once the training is completed and they went through all the process, or even before that, when you first meet, you come up with an actual action plan, with your employees, to make sure that they know where they are heading, what they can accomplish, and they see how their future looks like in the next couple of years, because it's pretty important. And then also, if you don't have that as personal trainers when you come in, and they just handled you like a load of work, meaning like clients, but no processes or anything, that's also pain in the butt, because then you have to figure out everything on your own, and then you're just gonna get lost. And if somebody not helping you, figuring it out this way, you need to go, right? So it's very important that you guys have all these processes. And before you hire somebody, I would say that you need to also work on their actual training before they come in, not as you go. And then, so at least you have the phases, or the first phase, and then you see how they process, and then you're creating the actual training process, and then always improve it, because our first round of academy, for example, was way different than our second and third and all that, because we always improve and we learn and we ask for feedbacks from our people. So always ask your new hires for feedback, and just always learn and keep improving, right?
I have two things to say. One, for personal trainers who are looking for a job, make sure not just do your research on the company, but if you can tell already that their process is not really keeping you top of mind to protect you, then think twice about whether or not you want to work for that company, right? You want to invest your time in a place that's investing in you as well. So be good to yourself, and hopefully you're not just looking for a job for the sake of a job. We say that we don't offer jobs, we offer careers, because we want to see people that come with us grow with us and get